guys? Welcome to another episode of the Soccer Family Podcast. I got what Anthony Big Head Layton would say. Would say cast of characters today. KG, introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? KG back for another round. We've been absent for a couple weeks, but we're back on the trail.
Awesome. Alusha Kalusha Falusha, introduce yourself.
Servus Youngs. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good night. We're back with football.
So KG has switched alliances from Chelsea to Barcelona, his beloved Catalonian club. KG hates Barcelona, by the
way. Ever disrespect me like that again.
KG hates Barcelona. And Bazzi, I used to be a Holland fan, and then when they didn't make the World Cup, he was in Italy. Was wearing Italy jerseys, but we're glad you're back.
I had a 1 hour debate today about Dutch.
That's excellent. All right, guys, let's get right into it. We got a busy schedule today because we've missed a few weeks. So let's get into Spain, La Liga. Real Madrid just secured the league after not winning it, I believe, in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Zidane has said that this is the title that he's been trying to get. It was more important to him than the Champions League. I mean, that's what happens when you win 4. So, Bazzi, do you think Madrid are deserved champions? What do you make of them winning the title?
Well, I think ultimately it's always the same thing with La Liga, Barcelona and Real Madrid. It comes down to consistency. The team that the most inconsistent always comes off short. They were both inconsistent this season, but ultimately Barcelona had and it shows. Madrid did what they came out in a lot of, and ultimately they deserved it. You know, I thought Zidane, he was focused and he was consistent. And Barcelona had too much going. All the transfers and coaches coming, it was just too much for them. I felt like it was easier for Madrid to win it with what was going on with Barcelona.
Yeah, Bazzi, you're cutting off in and out. I'm not sure if maybe you speak into it a little bit more.
You know, Bazzi, if you have headphones, put in your headphones. It'll help. It'll help with the trans.
All right, let me see. I'll have a.
Hey, G.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly now.
Okay, I think I just need to hold it.
Yeah, KG. Is this Madrid winning it, or is it Barcelona bottling it?
I don't necessarily think you can say it's Barcelona bottling it. I think Barcelona going into the season as a team had their obvious flaws. They were relying on Messi, their most expensive player. They brought in Griezmann, was out of position the entire season. They still needed time to mesh. And again, it was just, obviously they fired their coach. They brought in a new manager again. He's trying to implement his new ways. Messi's a strong personality in the locker room. There's so many dynamics going on at Barcelona. There's a new election coming up as well. So you have to look at all of the factors that go into such a large club like Barcelona and all of the things that have to take place for them to challenge for a title year in, year out. And they were just a club in disarray. They were still trying to get Neymar back, up until the last second at the beginning of the season. So I feel like there were so many things that were left up to chance going into the very beginning of the season that they were never really well positioned to make a super serious title challenge unless Messi was going to carry. And, obviously Messi's getting up there in age. Benzema has been playing out of this world all season. That Hazard, we've seen Ramos's quality, and we forget Thibaut Courtois is probably right now the best goalkeeper in the world. So, between that and them just showing a level of consistency, they were never really bad. They never really had any huge dips, despite the injury challenges that they faced. I'm referring to Madrid. So I don't know, man. I think it's a title well deserved. It was, it's not to say that they didn't
some of the other. Well, they played everyone. That's what the season is. So you can never say it. That's a title is not well deserved.
Yeah. So I agree with you. But there's also something that worked towards Madrid's part is that the strength of schedules and the restart was a lot easier for Madrid. So they already played their tough games. But also, I think they won every game and then tied the last one once they already won the league. So when you have that level of consistency, and then on the other side, you have Barcelona who sacked their manager, who who sold one of their best young midfielders in order to to clear the books for FIFA Fair Play. I think you guys saw when Messi scored that free kick in that game. There was no celebration. He just looked at the bench and kind of waved off, pissed off. There's a lot of problems at Barcelona, and they're also getting there in age, right? I think Busquets is turning 32, Messi's 33, Vidal is 33. I believe Suarez is 32 or 33, so maybe 34. So they're getting up in age. So in the seasons to come, Florentino Perez already came out. The Real Madrid president came out and said they're not spending big money this window, and I don't necessarily think they need to. Maybe in the midfield because they do have a lot, old legs in the midfield. But Bazzi, do you see what do Barcelona need to do in order to compete? Because this isn't a fluke. Like Madrid is real.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on something they can do to improve their team? Because clearly they need to.
I think they're gonna have a problem. They're being a little nonchalant about it. Maybe they're thinking our academies might help us, But the thing is now, a lot of teams have good academies, and you can't just base your foundation on academies when you're trying to compete every year at the top. You know what I mean? And with what you guys have brought up, they have a lot of guys with old legs, so they need to spend, which is the name of the game right now that everybody has to do. Even if you got to go in debt to compete to stay in the top, you have to spend. You have to keep up. And that's what I think. Like you said, the midfield needs a lot of reinforcements. And I think they still a little bit indecisive in the back, in what they want to do. Too many changes, even though they have been doing well, but they don't have consistency, So, yeah, they need to spend, man. They need to spend to stay afloat with everybody else.
But where would you say spend? What positions?
They need to spend in the midfield, I think they need to solidly start thinking about, Busquets is about to be gone. That's a big loss.
They got De Jong though. What you mean? That's supposed to be his replacement.
See, I don't think so, because De Jong is not that type of player. When he was at Ajax coming in, for the future, he can go forward. You know what I mean? A lot more than Busquets. So I think, well, maybe they're thinking
I
about. I
disagree with that, Alo. I think he's the perfect player to play that position. They just won't give it to him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is he can play that position.
This is what they say. They say that he plays the rumor is that he plays too quick for Messi. Like he doesn't in transitioning the ball, he plays the ball too, like Messi is very particular in terms of when they play him the ball and the spaces that he likes to receive the ball. De Jong doesn't, that Ajax philosophy, the true Ajax philosophy doesn't cater to Messi, right? And so the way that De Jong plays, they're saying is in direct conflict with the way that Messi likes to play because although it is Barca, the tiki-taka Barca, this is not the Xavi and Iniesta Barca. This is the Messi Barca. So they're saying a part of the issue with De Jong is that again with that Ajax background is that they don't look for one player, right? You know what I'm saying? Like when it's time to play you the ball, like it's time to play you the ball, and De Jong doesn't.
I think we're going to see a lot of academy players coming in next season for Barcelona.
There's a guy. His name is Puig. He's how old is he? Enrique Puig. In the past 3 or 4 games that I saw, when I say there's certain things that soccer players do and confidence that shows you like a confidence level, like kind of like Greenwood for United and Hudson-Odoi early on. Like there's no fear in him, you know. And I think he could, but he's not a 6. He's more of like maybe an 8. He's an 8, I would say. Um, but remember that name,
I like
Rike
that
Puig.
kid. You know, I like that kid because the first time I saw him, he looked like an MSI player. The guy, the guy's shorts was all the way to his navel button. Watch him.
And
when
it's
he
tucked in.
plays.
His shirt is tucked in. Yo, KG, the guy is
He
a
looks so
player.
proper, and the guy could ball. But they have a guy that looks like Pogba, very tall built, like a 16-year-old.
You know, Nahom,
You.
you know who I was gonna say it could fix a lot of Barcelona's problems? Huh?
Thomas?
No, Pogba.
Yeah.
It's true.
But this is the thing about Pogba, though. Pogba holds the ball too long. He's got to
But
get
that's
the ball.
yeah, but again, he can hold he holds the ball too long. But I'm telling you, he's the type of player that Messi would like because he's a timing player, right? He's gonna hold the ball for Messi until Messi's in.
But Kevin, think
Telling
about
you.
this.
That is the one signing I think that's right now that nobody's really speaking about. That if Barcelona are able to, because again, Pogba's easily persuaded. I'm not sure United are really convinced to keep him long term, but I think that if you pair Pogba with a De Jong, you pair Pogba with any one of those midfielders, I think that you're going to get the best out of Paul Pogba if he goes to a team like Barcelona versus staying at Manchester United. I think he solves a lot of their problems.
But remember who they signed? Pjanic? Pjanic is coming, so I'm not sure if they're going to play Pjanic. Who doesn't play Pjanic? He's a world-class player. But I think Pjanic is going to be short term, and they're going to have time to bring somebody in. But yes, that position is key, and it's influenced the back line because the back line is constantly under pressure. But they also need a center back. Busquets. No. Piqué is time.
Exactly along his last legs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time for him to.
I think he has one more. I think he has one more season in him.
Yeah, I think it's slowly time to
time's
transition
up
to the
still.
bench. Transition to the bench. Because a lot of the times it's just like it was too easy to score against them. And then we also have to mention Griezmann, right? You can't play a 4-3-3 with Messi and Griezmann. Because what ends up happening is Griezmann gets pulled out wide. His best position is where Messi plays. So I think they're gonna sell Griezmann. I think PSG could be a place to go, and then I think they have to bring in a Neymar because we've heard that Neymar is leaving PSG at the end of the season. I don't know if it's concrete, but I think that would be a Griezmann with money. I think would be an exchange that PSG would take. He's a French international. He's a World Cup winner. Regardless of what others think, there's a lot of value for Griezmann. So I think on a defensive front, center back, on an offensive front.
I don't think you're losing much in productivity when you pair Griezmann with Mbappe versus pairing Neymar and Mbappe. I don't think you're going to see a drop off in terms of productivity with those two players together.
You don't think you think the impact with Neymar on the team versus Griezmann on the team is the same?
Yeah. I don't think you lose that much if you place Neymar at PSG.
Oh, at PSG, yeah. PSG has their own.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I would honestly say that that Griezmann is probably a better fit to play alongside Mbappe than.
I agree. I think it'll be a great deal for PSG. It's a win-win for them because they get Neymar off the books. He's easily their most expensive player, and they also bring a humble Frenchman,
true professional, right?
True professional.
To come in, yeah.
Yeah, so it works out.
And I think he would almost automatically be their captain too.
Exactly. And then a player that we once hated because he played for Arsenal, He's not hanging up his boots. I think he's going to join Xavi in United Emirates, right? We're talking about Santi Cazorla is finally hanging up his European boots. So I'll leave it to an Arsenal guy. Alo, what are your thoughts on the sending off of Santi Cazorla, the little genius, left-footed and right-footed?
Actually, one of the players I actually never don't have anything bad to say about, which is very rare. That's one guy I don't have anything negative to say about. He's always been a class player, very good player, just good times at Arsenal. Just the only bad thing is that Arsenal juju. Guys just can't be healthy for us. They can go everywhere else and be healthy. And wish him all the best in his future endeavors. And he had a good season this season, like KG was saying. He can still do it, man. I saw him play against Barcelona, did well. I think he scored a cracker that game too. But yeah, good luck to Santi. Once a gunner, always a gunner.
Yeah, it's so funny. He would have been in the Spain national team for Euros this summer too, had it occurred. I guess he's one of the COVID casualties, I guess you'd call it. Because I don't think he'll make the. Obviously, he's going to be in Qatar, so I don't think he'll make the Spanish squad next summer. But that would have been a very, very, very interesting to see Cazorla running the midfield as a what is he, 30?
Got to be 35, 34. Yeah.
35. No, he's older than me. He's an 84, 83. So he's like 35, 36.
To see him running the midfield, because the international game's a little bit slower. It would have been really, really interesting to see playing at that pace, dictating the game left foot, right foot.
Was Santi Cazorla? He was on the World Cup Spain team, right?
Yes, but he didn't play. No.
But the crazy, look how deep that team is. You guys have like Juan Mata deep in the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like
guys off the bench.
Xavi, Iniesta.
David Silva was there.
Javi Alonso couldn't even get off the bench.
Crazy. Like
their backline was pretty deep too. They were deep.
Sergio Ramos wasn't even playing center back.
He's playing right back. Yeah.
They had that guy Capdevila. That guy was heavy.
Capdevila was the man. Yeah. Yeah. It was nuts. Jordi Alba was on that team too. Jordi wasn't there yet. I don't think Jordi was there yet.
That's crazy. That team was too dominant, man.
Ridiculous, bro. And remember, they won the Euros and then won it was a back-to-back. The Euros.
They need to make a documentary about those guys for those 2 years.
Well, it's too soon. They will eventually.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on, guys. We're going to go to Italia, as the commentator from ESPN says. Juve, obviously, walks away with, I think, the 7th consecutive year with the title to joke. It's even worse than Ligue 1, because Ligue 1, Monaco won what, 2 years ago. But KG, Juve won it. It was slightly close, and then they just ran away with it. What do you think? I think Inter's probably the closest between Inter and Lazio. What do you think Inter can do to catch up to Juventus? And I want to ask. Actually, that's the question I want to ask you. I'll add it on to Baz's question. So what do you think Inter Milan has to do in order to catch Juve?
I think they need to add consistency to their game. And the thing with Conte is that, the way that he plays a very structured system. And if you look at the way that he designs his squad, it's like always contrast. It's really senior players and a bunch of really, really young players. And so you look at the players that he's brought in, from Alexis Sanchez to Moses, Ashley Young, Christian Eriksen, all of these guys, to Lukaku, all of these guys are very seasoned, experienced professionals, right? That's the core of his team. And so those guys are going to be able to, I guess, I wouldn't say transcend, but he's transforming the culture of the club. and I think they're going to be, just by the nature of the players that he's brought in. Oh, they're going to be more consistent next season than they were this season. So I think part of what they need to do is continue down the path that they're going. They need to hold on to their players too, because if they can keep Lautaro for another season, along with Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez gets another year in the system. They still have Pjanic on the books. They still have Nainggolan on the books. If they can get those players off the books and bring in some younger, maybe fresher talent, I think that they will definitely 100% close the gap just naturally. But I really do think that the main thing that they need to do is to keep their core players. And I forget the name of their center back too. He's being targeted right now by Chelsea, City, a bunch of the other.
It's like from the Scandinavian country, I think. It's like
Yeah.
Ovovich.
Something like that. I can't remember his name, but if they're able to hold on to their players, I think that will go a long way in helping them close the gap. But again, in Italy, the league is just as a whole struggles to hold on to their players. So, we'll see how the summer goes for them. But holding on to Lautaro, but I mean, in reality though, even if they sell Lautaro, it's going to be $400 million plus. So, I mean, if they can reinvest that money, that would be great. But in reality, I think they'd probably rather keep him than get cash now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with Inter is they don't have a hard time scoring, but they have a hard time defending. So you rarely do you see them not concede. They concede at will. Alo, Mauricio Sarri wins his first league title in his history. Do you think it's enough for him to stay at the position one more year, or do you foresee him getting sacked, or will it depend on Champions League? Like, what are your thoughts on Mauricio? As I chew on my pen like he does his cigarettes.
Yeah, to be fair, I think he deserves another shot, but I don't think they're gonna give it to him. That's just my opinion. I feel like Juve, and for the different stories that I heard, they might want to go a different direction. Maybe. And
I think they're going to bring Allegri back.
Yeah, that's. I wasn't going to say it, but that's what I'm thinking. It's one of those things where he won the league, so they have to reward him maybe, but ultimately he's not the guy they want. So, but I'm thinking this year with everything that's going on, he will be there for at least another season. And reinforcements, I'm really not sure how they are with money. But like Kevin's saying, I do agree with what he was saying with Inter Milan. They're going to be a force this year. I got to see a few of their games during the COVID, and they look good. And with the guys that Conte brought in, it seems like they've been playing well together. It seems like they've played together for a long time. I guess maybe because coming from the Premier League. But they look really well. And I feel like they're going to win a lot of games next year with just those guys alone. But the problem that might bring is those guys are a little older, so you got to maintain body, fitness, and the guys that are going to come in to help out when they're not playing, are they going to be in the same caliber? That's the question. So, but in regards to their star player, I think they should keep him because he's an influential guy on the team. So I think they should keep him moving forward.
Yeah, and I think they sold Icardi permanently to PSG, so they got some money.
Yeah.
And their books are down. But it's hard to compete when I think Wolves, not Wolves. Juventus are rumored with Jimenez and Lacazette. It's like these guys just keep on improving their team. And with Juve, it was interesting that they went and got Sarri because A, he doesn't fit their system. Their style of play doesn't really fit Sarri, and B, the personnel doesn't fit Sarri, and B, it's the fact that they were trying to sell Dybala all summer last summer, and then this year he's arguably their best player. So it's like what are they trying to do? I feel like there's no real, for the first time it feels like they don't know what they're doing, and it's weird at the club. But we'll see. They're down to the.
I've heard some really interesting. If you listen to, I listened to
to a few different podcasts, and there's a couple of them that focus on Serie A. And what they're saying is the quandary with Maurizio Sarri, and every club has had the same issue, is that you have to commit to his style of football 100%.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're only gonna get marginal returns. And so that's the crux of the issue. Right now, they're saying the battle that they're gonna go into this summer that they're gonna have to fight is everybody. The 5,000-pound gorilla in the room is Cristiano Ronaldo does not fit Mauricio Sarri's style of football. So is Cristiano going to bend to Mauricio Sarri, or is the club going to say, Cristiano, you know what? It's all well and good, but time is up.
No mas.
I think they'll get rid of the coach first, to be fair.
Again, this is the thing about this is the discussion that they were having. Italian clubs aren't run like your English clubs, and it's not always about revenue. This is a historic football first traditional club, and so at the end of the day, you have to look, like those guys let Marquinhos go.
I just don't feel like Juve would fight for Sarri.
Well, Ronaldo is
it's not about fighting, but it's not about fighting for Sarri. It's about what's better for the club moving forward, right? And those guys, when it comes to their club, like your name can be Cristiano Ronaldo, your name could be Maradona.
I gotta disagree with that, KG.
Yeah, I don't.
There's Marquinhos, and there's Chiellini, and there's all these guys, but then there's Ronaldo and Messi. These are two different specs of football players.
Yeah, Kevin.
Right. They've gotten their money back. What's their loyalty to Cristiano Ronaldo? They've gotten their money back on him.
Right, but I'm saying there aren't that many Cristianos out there. It's easier to get rid of Sarri and win with Cristiano, a proven winner, versus trusting a guy that's never really won.
Yeah, but they're winning the league. They're gonna win the league with or without Cristiano.
But they're not gonna win the Champions League. That's the reason they brought him. They can win the Champions League without Sarri. They have a better chance without Sarri and with Ronaldo than they do.
Ronaldo's 1 year older. Ronaldo's 1 year older.
Doesn't matter, bro. He's 1 year older. He scored 30 goals this year. He had a brace today. We'll see. I'm not a big Cristiano fan, but I see your point, KG. Moving on. KG, you're slightly frozen. There you go. You're good now. Moving on. I wanted to quickly touch on the championship. Leeds got promoted after 16 years since they got relegated. A historic club that's won European titles, that's won Premiership titles. Allo, I want to ask you first, how do you feel about Leeds being back? These guys are averaging 40,000, 40,000. And B, do you think? What do you think of Biazla and his system? Is he gonna have binoculars at Emirates now? Like what's going on?
I know you guys think I might be a bandwagon for saying this, but I might just leave Arsenal and be a Leeds fan. I've loved those guys since Mark Viduka. Kevin knows what I'm talking about too. So I'm really excited for them to come in, and like I said, for some reason the connection with me and them, I really like the way they played. They had African players back in the day, guys like Lucas Radebe. They gave chances to everybody. They were the first guys I ever saw 16-year-olds coming in and playing. Like it was crazy. Guys like James Milner. Yeah, so they had a tough time, and I'm really excited to see them because, like I said, they play really good football. They have a very good coach, and they play really good, interesting football. It's like a Wolves. So It's exciting to see teams like that to come in the Premier League and give more, push to everybody else. You know what I mean? Because it's just going to make the league even better, even more exciting. Yeah. And Ellen Road is a fun place to go. You know what I mean? So watching teams like United go back to Ellen Road and teams like Chelsea go to Ellen Road, it's gonna be really cool to see. So I'm excited, man. And Sarri became my guy when I found out he went to spy on Lampard's practice. That was
At Derby.
the guy said, "Listen, it's not
What's wrong?
I'll do it again." So we need more interesting characters like that. With a Sarri and a Mourinho in the league, imagine the Sarri against a Mourinho. It's gonna be epic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So KG,
Bielsa, my
in
bad.
the documentary for Leeds, they talk about how they have weigh-ins every morning. Like Bielsa makes them have weigh-ins. So the guy said, he was about to eat like fish and chips, and the guy's like, "Damn, I got weigh-ins tomorrow, so I can't eat fish and chips." Bielsa is a very disciplinarian guy, right? What do you think is going to do for Premier League as far as personalities are going to go? Because he's definitely a personality.
They say, so I was, again, there's been some podcasts and they've been talking about, because you have to remember, last year, they were far away the best team. So, ago, the best team in the championship by a long shot, right? In the second half of the season, it was the same thing. And before the break, they had started to waver. A lot of people were saying that COVID helped them because Bielsa is all that manager. He's a very 100% all the time type of manager. So he requires 100% commitment to his players, but apparently he gives in return. So you see, and they say he's crazy, and he's all.
Hey, you're breaking in and out.
Sorry. He's also one of the managers, they say, that uses the "I don't speak English very well" card to perfection. They say when it's convenient, he doesn't know what's going on, and he also
That's so heavy.
They also say in his contract up until this year, obviously the Premier League is a different kettle of fish, but he refuses to do one-on-one interviews. So they're saying that I heard today also, I was listening on the radio, one of their fans called a local radio show and said that they kind of want Leeds to fire him because they don't think that the ownership deserves Bielsa, because they said it's going to be a show.
That's awesome. And he's been at other clubs like Atletico Bilbao. I think he's been at Marseille. So he's got a proven track record. He's got something to prove.
Well, Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola's a disciple of Bielsa, and so is Mauricio Pochettino.
He coached Mauricio at Young Boys, I think.
Yep.
In Argentina.
But Pep calls him basically the modern grandfather of football.
Oh yeah. The guy said, one of his players said in the documentary interview, that he probably already has numbers on every team in the EPL. Like he already probably studied them and he's just waiting. So it's a true. Anytime somebody dedicates their life like that to football, you got to appreciate it. So I'm interested to see him and how he transitions to the Premier League, because when there's a dollar amount attached to it, it's different. All that sweet stuff is gone, my friend. So
yep.
We'll see what happens. Moving on. Something I want to discuss is City finesse. I mean, City got the UEFA ban lifted, and a lot of coaches had interesting things to say. One of them was Klopp, who said it was a funeral for fair play, and Jose said if they're guilty, and this is excellently put in Jose style, he said if they're guilty, then it's bad for football. But if they're not guilty, it's also bad for football because they still have to pay $9 million. He said, what innocent man pays? Hey, Jose is just as clever as they come. So, Bazzi, what are your thoughts on that on the ruling, and how? If you guys don't understand the ruling, what ended up happening was, I think it was a time thing. right?
Mhm.
So UEFA put it in knowing that it wasn't within the time that they had to do it, right?
Of course.
And so that's why they weren't necessarily not guilty of the whatever,
Hold on.
whatever.
I just want to say this.
KG, you want to say?
If Jose was a snitch in my case, I know for 100% fact I'd be going to jail.
The guy's gonna
Like,
say,
shit.
look, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but he was gonna lose. Bobby, what are your thoughts on the ruling?
Well, as a fan, I'm sad. Because like I said, I'd like to see all the best clubs competing in the league. You know? But I think they had it coming, man. Those guys are sneaky, you know. They were doing a whole bunch of sneaky stuff. And back to that Jose stuff, that guy is heavy. That is such a classic thing for him to say. And he's so petty. You know what I mean? He's such a petty. He just wants everybody to respond to him. And I can imagine those guys going home and cussing to their wives like they're like, fuck that guy. I hate that guy. But they can't say it on TV. Oh man. So yeah, man, it's sad to see that, but I think now City is gonna be ready for the league because now, you know, they're just gonna be ready. You know, they're gonna...
the ban got overturned.
The ban got overturned.
No way.
Yeah. Well, my friend, where have you been?
Bruh.
That's what I'm talking
I missed
about. It
that.
got overturned.
I missed that.
Yeah, no
There's
more ban.
ban.
No way.
They
Now I
just
gotta
paid $9
talk
million
about this whole thing
fee.
again. Okay. Really?
Yes.
Well,
That's why
they
Jose
cheated.
said, why were they paying $9
cheated.
million if they're innocent?
They cheated. They cheated then. They definitely cheated. And they need to go.
You know what
Listen,
that reminded me of, KG? Is when Alan didn't know the penalty for the crime he committed, and I tell him how long he's gonna serve in jail. The guy's like,
I missed that.
What do you want
I
to know?
didn't hear that part.
I'll tell you
I didn't
everything.
hear that part.
That changed
I didn't
up.
hear that part.
Yeah.
But that Dubai guy, somebody don't send a couple of 100,000 bags. Just somebody opened their door and the bags was right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
Those
as a
guys are
Chelsea fan, it
sketchy.
sucks because now it's only top 4, it's not top 5. KG, what are your thoughts on the overturn? And how bad does UEFA look?
My thoughts
And is there
on
any hope for FFP?
UEFA are a bunch of clowns, right? And if you listen to most of the people who were in the know and who were on the inside track on City, like obviously they probably signed confidentiality agreements or something, but a lot of the people who generally are in the know, like Hagenstein and some of like the guys who deal with this FFP stuff, when they went and talked to the city representatives, they always said from the very beginning that this was going to get overturned, right? And, you know, everyone didn't want to listen to them. If you listen to Pep was always very confident that it was going to get overturned. And if you see, even if you never really heard much from their players about, you know what I mean, even potentially leaving the club. So they must have known that, you know, that there was loopholes in the law and in the FFP rules. So I think it's a death of FFP, no, especially in these trying times. And we see, you know, with COVID and everything kind of exposing football for, you know, the frugality that it shows on a, not frugality, sorry, the exorbitance that it shows in terms of the transfer market on a weekly basis, like, or on a yearly basis, like we're seeing that kind of being curbed right now because you can't go out and spend £100 million on a player when you're can't even afford a meal. So I think a lot of the intentions of FFP were good, but obviously with the first iteration of most things, it isn't effective. People are always going to find a way, like they're going to find a way to beat or circumvent the system. So I think, you know, I don't think it's going to be dead because I think, you know, a lot of teams have seen, a lot of clubs, and now with, you know, social awareness being what it is, we're seeing a lot more people aware of these type of things. So I think, no, it's not dead. I think it just needs to be revamped and, you know, repackaged as something versus it being financial fair play. It's never going to be fair, right? Like, let's just be honest. Like, financial fair play, it's the rules are never, they're always going to be skewed towards the larger teams.
They just need to call it for what it is. Financial regulations. Your club needs to fall within these boundaries. And if you fall outside of these, like you're out of Champions League, you're out of this, you're out of this. Like there has to be a threshold. So I think that's sooner than later, but we shall see.
And I think it protects the lower the teams without the big budgets from we were talking about Leeds, right? They took out more money than they were getting back, so they ended up folding because they couldn't make up the numbers.
It's the exception, not the rule, right?
Exactly.
Like so you make rules for the majority of the people to follow. You don't make rules for the elite percent.
Exactly. So so I felt like it was. I mean, I think even Gary Neville, I think in January, he had an interview where he was like, he has no faith that it's going to stand. It will be overturned and City will be in Champions League. And I thought he was crazy, but clearly he has more connections at UEFA than I do. So what he said ended up happening.
Yeah, those guys know the bullshit they be on.
Oh yeah, and then you have to understand that City, Chelsea, Arsenal, United, these clubs, their attorneys are the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like they can afford the best attorneys to find the biggest loopholes to get by. But I don't think it's over for FFP. I think it still holds value. But now City kind of opened the floodgates for everybody to use them as a case. So just moving on. The FA Cup semifinal. The first game that was played was Saturday. It was Arsenal versus Manchester City. Arsenal pulled through with a 2-0 win. I don't remember I think the last time Arsenal beat City might have been in the FA Cup in Pep's first year. It's been a while since you guys beat them. Maybe I'm wrong. But Bazi, being that you're an Arsenal fan, what did you think of the performance? And what's your is Aubameyang world class, man?
I thought that it was a very different performance from Arsenal, and it was uplifting to see that we could be outpossessed and still come out on top, still get a shutout. That's a different side. You know what I mean? Those are the type of things that I'm picking up that gives me hope about Arsenal. Little things like that. We didn't play great, but we played together and we played organized, which never happens. It hasn't happened in a long time. So I'm pleased with that. I'm not going to get overexcited about it, but I'm very pleased with that, especially coming back from winning against Liverpool. I think that was a confident booster. I think our manager is very influential in the locker room, and it shows. And I think he has a lot of tactics, and he showed a lot of tactics, which has worked. So, again, I'm hopeful for that. And the next question was what?
It's a twofold question. Is Aubameyang world class? And,
yes.
And is David Luiz, has he made up for his mistakes?
About my blood clot, yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I said Aubameyang was world class at Dortmund. Because again, when you have certain players that have certain qualities that are rare, you become in your own category. You know what I mean? So with his speed and agility, the way how he plays, he's different. And as he came in the Premier League in January and scored 10 goals, I knew he was always going to be, a good player for us. I would like to still see him improve. There's always room to improve, especially as we spoke about the calmness in certain times on the finishes. You know what I mean? The ratios, certain shots. But overall, I think we need to do what we need to do to keep him. We got to pay that guy everything that he deserves. So we keep him. We can't be losing players like him, especially where we're trying to get to. We need to keep everybody and make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the guy is just a scoring machine. And David Luiz, I think he's somewhat made up for his games. KG and I are very familiar with David Luiz performances when he has 7 bad games and 2 great games.
Yeah, that was the last question. Yeah, thoughts about David Luiz, and you know we spoke about that earlier in the chat. The thing is, you have to commend him for that performance. You know, maybe because I'm just an old school sensitive character, but that's just me. You know, the guy went through a lot. He's still a human being. We keep forgetting at times that these guys are still human beings. You know, whether he's a professional or not, he gets paid to do that. He's still a human being. He didn't
Yeah.
go into that first City game saying, "Hey, I'm going to ruin this game." You know, he had a bad game. He knew he had a bad game. Everybody let him know he had a bad game, and then to come and play against the same team at that level and play like that, I have to commend him. That's all I'm saying. You
I
know?
think it's funny you say that because Bellerin has a podcast where he interviews players and they talk about like other parts of football. You know, the emotional side, the mental side, and things that they do. And it's I think I saw like a demo for I think it's coming up. I don't know. He interviewed not Serge. Is it Serge, the guy from Bayern Munich that used to play for you guys?
Yeah, Ganabi.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that. KG, I wanted to ask you on the opposite side of Manchester City. Manchester City, it seems like they put up two performances. They either dominate and score goals and take their chances, or they dominate, miss a few chances, and then are open in the back and are susceptible to a counterattack. Do you think that tie against Madrid, like if I'm Pep Guardiola, I'm a little scared because Madrid does what
You already know
Arsenal did
how.
times 4. So, what are your thoughts on moving forward with as far as City versus Madrid, like going into that game?
The City. So Chelsea have lost 11 games this year with a young team. City have lost 9 in the league, right? So put that into context. So when you're losing that many games, I don't think it's a matter of inconsistency. I think it's a matter of fragility. And if you look at the way that every team beats them, it's once you beat that first initial press,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have anything. Like they have nothing beyond Fernandinho's long in the tooth. His legs are gone. Laporte's not the quickest. Kyle Walker's still extremely quick, but he's maybe lost a step. You know what I mean? Mendy hasn't lived up to the billing of what they thought he was going to be. And when you look at the big games, they put Gundogan. Gundogan was playing in the holding midfield, and if you look at the pace and energy of the Arsenal, like he was never going to last in that role for very very long. Like, and so yeah, I think we're starting to see the fragility of this Manchester City side, where for a long time they would just bull rush. They would bull rush teams. You would be down, 2-3-0 in the first 20 minutes, and then after that, your game plan is out the window. But now that you've seen teams are starting to cope and they're starting to get used to the patterns of play and the style of play that Pep Guardiola promotes, you're starting to see less of a disparity in the results, and you're starting to see more teams figuring out a way to play against the system that Pep Guardiola employs, because it never changes. It's the same all the time.
Yeah, so the one thing I would add to that is he started off with a midfield of Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, and Gundogan, and I was surprised because you need a Fernandinho or somebody in there that is a natural 6. He essentially gave Arsenal no real credit, and what ended up happening is when they lost the ball, they didn't have that defensive midfielder that can close the ball or positionally be set. But I disagree about the style. I think he needs to improve the personnel, but they had plenty of chances. I know David Silva missed a few sitters. Raheem, it's funny because I think if Raheem has a great game, they win. If Raheem doesn't play well, they lose. And so I think it's they need to, and they will. And that's one thing about that decision that I'm blown about with the UEFA is now they're going to invest a lot of money into that team. And so I think in and around the midfield, I think he'll invest some money. I think he'll get another attacker. But as
They're
far
also losing. They're also losing quality too, man. Like
they're losing David Silva, but it's
they're
City, bro. they're gonna improve. They're gonna buy players.
Yeah,
Nathan Ake. I think they just made they just agreed personal terms with Nathan Ake, which I think will be a good sign for them.
you can't. You have to understand too, though. This is the thing. You don't just replace generational players. A lot of people think that it's easy to do and say they don't reload, they don't rebuild, they reload. But you don't replace players like you don't replace players like Silva. You don't replace players like Aguero.
Yeah,
And
KG, but this is a team that won the league without Kevin De Bruyne for 3/4 of the league.
yeah, but you know who they still had? They still had company. They still had Silva. They still had Aguero, and they still had Fernandinho. Bro, these guys have been at the club and have been winning before Pep, before KDB. So like these aren't your run of the mill Premier League players, bro. Like these are maybe because City are newer on the block, but when you go 10 years from now, we look back. These are going to be players that we look at as Premier League greats, generational talents.
Yeah,
And
I
you
agree
and
with that point.
just like any club, like you don't just replace those players, right? Like it's not a you don't just go find Eden Hazard, or you just don't go find a Roy Keane, you just don't go find a Patrick Vieira. These players aren't just around, and losing guys like Christian David are going to take a toll on the team.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought David Silva shouldn't have started that game because he just didn't. The game was passing him a lot of the times. I didn't think he was. I would have took him off maybe within the 50th minute. He took off Mahrez. It's just a surprise to me because Mahrez is the only one that was creating chances. So even tactically, I thought he had it wrong that game. But we'll move on. It'll be interesting to see how they do against Real Madrid. The second tie was Chelsea versus Manchester United. There's a lot of yak from Manchester United fans. Bruno this and Bruno that. What's their manager's name? Ole started with a back five, and sat Pogba, Mason Greenwood, and Martial, which didn't make sense. KG, what was your take on the game? Chelsea, for those that didn't see, they won 3-1.
Manchester United have played the same the same 11 players, five out of their 8 games back. Right, and so the same group of players had played the last 5 consecutive games. They had 48 hours less rest than Chelsea, so basically they had a day of rest, and they had to train, and then they had to play, which is fine. But again, they kind of knew what it was. You also have to look at the ties that you have to also understand, right? Look at their league position. They have, let's say they win this week, right? Or because they have a game in hand over
City. Yeah.
So they win. They go 3 points above Leicester, right?
Yeah.
Leicester, their goal difference, if they win by less than two goals, would be essentially equal, right? So what does that mean? Going into the last game, they would have to beat. If Leicester City beats them, they miss out on Champions League.
Well, it would depend on how we do, but yes.
No, essentially they would be below Leicester, right? So it would be out of they have to beat Leicester. Regardless, because you have to think about it. Even if they beat West Ham and they go to Leicester and Leicester beat them, they still miss out on Champions League.
It depends if we get 2 points out of the next two games.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. But again, that's the predicament that they're in. So
Right.
I think it was people are giving Ole like a lot of criticism, but I can see why he had to make a tough decision in terms of leaving those guys on the bench. The games are coming thick and fast. Everybody's playing every 3 days, and these guys, like even though they've had a break, once you play 5 games, you're back. You see everybody's match again. You're starting to see the effect of playing a game every 3 days on this guy. So I think there's a lot that went into his decision in terms of the team that he picked, but at the end of the day, we still saw the fragility of Manchester United in their back line. Harry Maguire's not an 85 million pound center back. Eric Bailly is still Eric Bailly.
Lindelof is still Williams is still Wan-Bissaka. And if you want to rely on a 55-year-old Matic to run your midfield, that's on you.
Yo, Em, do you hear this, man?
I don't
Em?
know. I don't know who thought that this was going to be successful long term. But like I always say, you'll see. Just wait.
Okay, Jesus, you're an asshole. Bozzy, what were your thoughts on the game? And do you think it was right for Ole to switch the lineups up when even though he was playing the same players, it was working, and it's a cup semifinal?
Exactly. Listen, like Kevin, you can't be nice to those guys. You can't be blazing them and then be nice to those guys. Listen, those guys, it's a cup semifinals, and you tell me about resting. Get on the field and play, man. You know what I mean? The next day, give those guys a day off. Let them go to sleep. You know what I mean? But that was such a big mistake because at that level, those type of players, the intensity of the game, the intensity of the moment, and everything that's going on, they have to be on the field. Especially like you've been saying, they've been going through on this run 5 games in a row. As soon as I saw the lineup, I knew they were going to lose. Like my first initial reaction was, these fucking guys are going to lose. And it just, as much as I've given credit to Ole, that confirmed to me now that he's a terrible coach. Because that was just a stupid thing to do. You know what I mean? You can't make decisions. Jose won't make a decision like that. Pochettino wouldn't make a decision like that. Like those guys on that level don't get into a cup game when you know the situation of your club and do some crap like that. But maybe I'm wrong. But that's my opinion.
So here's my thought on it. I think they're playing West Ham, who are safe at home in the next game, right? Maybe that's where you rest your players, right? You're not going to need everyone to win, but you're playing against Chelsea in a cup semifinal, chance to go to the final, right? And then there's also momentum, right? There's momentum that you take into the West Ham game and into the Leicester game. So now, not only are you out of a cup final, but now you're going to a West Ham game with guys with low confidence, right? And then that could be a dominant. So he could miss out on Champions League and miss out on the cup final. So it just
You
it
have
was
a good
so
point.
avoidable. You know?
I'm going to apologize to
because at the end of the
Manchester
day, there's one thing that still remains. The only way they guarantee themselves Champions League is by beating Leicester City.
Yeah, exactly. That game is going to decide it. So Chelsea, that takes us into our next segment, right? Top 4. We saw Tottenham versus Leicester. Leicester had a chance to pass Chelsea and United. No, actually they're already above United on goals, but they had a chance to pass Chelsea and they couldn't do it. Harry Kane had a brace. It seems like they finally understand Jose's style of football: defend for 90 minutes and attack for 10. KG, who do you think is going to make top 4, and what did you make of that Leicester Tottenham game?
Well, Jose's getting his team back into form. I think they're going to be a problem next season, so watch out for Spurs. But top 4, same as I said at the beginning of the season. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United.
Did you just say Manchester United?
Yeah, that was my prediction at the beginning of the season.
So Kevin, you saying Jose is not going to make it happen?
Well, he can't. I think it's mathematically impossible for him to make it.
Yeah, it's impossible for them. Next season, though.
Yeah, can you believe this guy? Our rivals are Tottenham, really. Like, it's not West Ham. It's not none of those West Ham.
It has nothing to do with them being our rivals.
I will never cheer for Tottenham. Like, it goes.
I'm not cheering for them. I'm just telling you. I recognize who Jose Mourinho is.
You and Akan are low key Tottenham fans. I know you get excited when they score. Bazzi, what did you make of the Tottenham Leicester game? Is Leicester bottling it? And who do you think? What's your top 4?
Yeah, Leicester let me down, man. They really let me down. I thought they were gonna give up. They're gonna give a bigger fight, because especially the last few games, like we discussed this morning, maybe the injuries and the key players that they're missing are making a huge difference. You know, it seems like guys are out of form and guys are missing. And it sucks, you know, because the restart, it helped. It either helped you or it ruined you. You know, I mean, there's no either or. It either worked in your favor or it didn't. You know, we got my man over there at West Ham looking like Messi. That guy had like 2 goals in the first 20 games.
Valencia,
Huh? No, what's his name?
Antonio.
Antonio. Antonio
Yeah.
has like 8 goals in 3 games. That guy hasn't scored 8 goals his entire life. So
It's Chelsea
again,
looks there for you.
it's interesting times. You know what I mean? But ultimately, my top 4 has to be again. Same. I didn't earlier this season. I had us in there.
Hey, my friend, relax yourself.
That
By the way, Bobby,
was something.
before you go on,
That
remember
didn't
when
work
we were in
out.
10th place? You told me, no, home, don't ever talk on social media. You're in 10th. You're doing a
Well,
lot
now,
of
Hope,
talking.
listen. Let me tell you. I remember what I said, but I remember again what I said. I'm gonna say it again. If we finish 10th, then you're the man. But we're not finished 10th. That's a very hard thing to do. If we finish 10th, we absolutely suck. That was the point I'm trying to make to you.
Okay, but go ahead. Tell me your top 4. I was just teasing.
City, Liverpool, Chelsea. I want to see Leicester in there.
Interesting.
I want to see Leicester there. Yeah.
So my top 4.
Leicester there.
My top 4 has always been Liverpool, Chelsea. You guys kept on saying City, Liverpool. You got to go in order, my friend. Especially when you win by 39 points. Liverpool, City. I had Leicester at 3rd, but obviously those guys went off the detour. So I'll go Chelsea and I think United. All Chelsea really need is a point out of the 6 because of that Leicester loss. So hopefully we can get it done at Liverpool, but we can see. But we hit the hour mark, guys. I want to thank you for hopping on. Really appreciate you guys. It's an excellent podcast. Everyone, just check us out on pretty much every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, our website. We've said it plenty of times on this call. And then our YouTube page as well, the Soccer Family Podcast, the Soccer Family Podcast. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good day.